Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss book one in the Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard trilogy book series. The first book is called The Sword of Summer, came out October 2015 by Rick Riordan. So Magnus Chase is the cousin of Annabeth Chase. We know and love Annabeth Chase from the Percy Jackson and the Olympians books, as well as the Heroes of Olympus books. She is the demigod daughter of Frederick Chase and Athena, the Greek goddess, and Minerva is technically the Roman form, but she is specifically of the Greek Athena lineage. Magnus is mentioned as family in one of the last Heroes of Olympus books. Annabeth says, hey, my dad has family in Boston, and I want to, get to know. So Frederick Chase is the middle brother of wow, I'm forgetting everyone's name. Randolph is the oldest brother. What's Magnus? Who's Magnus's mom's name? Natalie Chase. So Randolph, Frederick, and Natalie Chase are siblings. They've had a family rivalry for a very, very long time. Randolph, his wife and daughters were killed in a fire, so he thought, with his quest to find this Sword of Summer, Summerbrander, as it's called. So the Summerbrander sword, the Sword of Summer sword, is the sword of the god Frey, who is the twin brother of the goddess Freya. Freya rules Ninvalir, something like that, which is like a form of afterlife. And Frey is the god of summer, so he does this thing. But Randolph is, he's an old professor of different universities, teaching Norse mythology, teaching about Vikings and how it's a job title, things of that nature. So we start the book off January 13th, I think it is, page 18, they say it. January 13th. So Magnus Chase officially turned 16 on January 13th. That's when we start our book, January 13th. So it's winter, it's Boston. Magnus has been homeless for 2 years. His mom was killed by these two blue wolves when he was 14. He's been on the streets for 2 years ever since. He has been accompanied by two other homeless guys, Blitzen and Hearthstone. Blitz and Hearth, but and Hearthstone is pretty much albino, but he's also very tall and he's deaf, so he gesticulates. He uses a lot of sign language, which Magnus has picked up over the last 2 years. But he only sees them at night, basically. He doesn't really see them during the day. So Magnus is brought back to the family estate by Randolph after he's been missing for quite some time. Annabeth and her dad, Frederick, are actually in Boston looking for him, but he doesn't want to talk to them because he doesn't really know, what's going on. There's a family thing going on. What's going on? So Randolph kind of explains that, they have a lot of Norse god influence within the family, and that Summerbrander is Magnus's birthright, and he needs to find it in this river. So they go to a river in Boston. Magnus finds the sword. He draws the sword out. It's just this rusted steel rod at this point. It's not actually a magnificent, rune-covered stone sword that it is. And then all of a sudden, the Fire Lord Surt, who is one of the, beckoners of the apocalypse, known as Ragnarok, he comes about. Summerbrander's also fated to release the binds of Fenris Wolf, who is a son of Loki. But then also Surt is supposed to have the Summerbrander sword to ring in Ragnarok. One of the versions of ringing in Ragnarok. That's what this particular version is. So Surt fights Magnus and kills Magnus, but Magnus is brought to Hotel Valhalla. I have my Hotel Valhalla shirt. I'm all decked out. We got Fenris Wolf right there. It's not technically Fenris Wolf, but it is a wolf. So they wear green shirts in Hotel Valhalla. Valhalla is where all the Einherji, I'm butchering everyone's names, go to serve Odin, to lead the charge for Ragnarok whenever Ragnarok does happen. The Valkyrie are these warrior women who are under Odin's not control, but command, to bring in anyone who's died bravely in battle or service or something like that, basically, to Valhalla so they can fight. So that's what an Einherji is. Magnus is trying to adjust to the fact that he's dead, but he's not dead because he can die in Hotel Valhalla, but he can regenerate and come back. But if he dies outside Hotel Valhalla, that's it. He's dead. He's dead. So he winds his way onto floor 19, and he meets Thomas Jefferson Jr., who's an old Civil War, not old, but he's 17, but like he fought in the Civil War. We have Half-Born Gunderson. We have this half-troll named X. We have Mallory Keene. And then Gunilla is like the head commander of the Valkyrie. And she's like, well, it's nothing to do with Magnus because there's a prophecy against him. The Thorns, who are the fates of Valhalla, are like saying he shouldn't be here. Magnus was brought to Valhalla by Samira Alabas. Now, Samira is this Iraqi-American girl. She's Muslim. She wears a green hijab. Here and there, depending on her own preference. She explained it. I don't remember everything about it, but she explained her version of a hijab. But Samira is a Valkyrie, and she was instructed by someone to bring Magnus to Valhalla. As the story progresses, we find out who did what when and all these things, right? So Magnus and company, because Hearth and Blitz appear in Valhalla to break him out, basically. Hearth is an elf. Blitz is a dwarf. Humans, dwarves, and elves are all considered mortals, according to this. We get the whole 9 worlds, 9 realms, we get the world tree, we get all the stuff that we've learned from the Marvel movies, but, like, different. Odin and Frigg had 2 sons, Hod and Balder. Balder was tricked by Loki. Loki is a brother of Odin. Balder was tricked by Loki to shoot a dart of mistletoe at Hod to kill him, and that's actually why we have mistletoe as a celebration to remember Hod's life, as the good old mythology, traditions instill. But yeah, so it's very different compared to the Marvel films. Marvel films are a little simplified. Everyone's related, but like, yes, Norse mythology has everyone related, but not as related as we are used to seeing. And they all look totally different compared to what we're used to seeing, except Odin's got one eye, and Odin's got one eye in both Marvel and actual mythology. So that's pretty good. We also get the fact that Loki is the mother of an 8-legged horse. That was pretty neat having that in here. Fenris Wolf is Loki's son. Samira Alabas is actually a daughter of Loki. We see that Frey is Magnus's father. So it's a matter of getting that Sword of Summer back, which he then does with the help of his friends. And it's turned into a rune stone attached to a gold necklace, and it's kind of magnetic. So we actually joke about Percy's pen being a sword in this book, which is hysterical. And all Magnus has to do is just take a rune stone. I don't have anything. We'll use this Leatherman. Just take it off his necklace, and it pops out into a sword. And when he's done, he just puts it back on. Like, it's a cool design. I will say that. Runestone magic is pretty neat. We get a lot of that from Hearthstone. We get a lot of sign language stuff in this as well because of Hearthstone. Blitzen being the son of Freya, which means technically Blitz is Magnus's cousin, kind of. That was pretty cool. Blitz is all about fashion, and like he's making bulletproof vest chainmail now. Awesome. There's a lot of stuff that we're used to seeing in Rick Riordan books. The kids go to one thing to get information that leads to another thing that leads to another thing, right? So these demigods and mortals and Valkyrie, it's really Sam, Magnus, Hearth, and Blitz. That's the 4 main doing the stories and stuff. They're talking to a goddess with a golden net to get Summerbrander back after Magnus captured the world serpent on a fishing line. That was a thing. Then we go, I'm jumping around, but we're talking to Loki in dreams. We're actually on the island where Fenris Wolf is to face Surt yet again, the Fire Lord himself. We're fighting against giants. That was a whole big thing. Jack is the name now of Summerbrander, and Jack can talk. So it's pretty neat the relationship Jack and Magnus have, where Jack can fight for Magnus, but when Magnus holds Jack again, all of that energy used will drain him. But Magnus realizes that he can also heal certain people. He can heal himself, he can heal those around him, that everybody around him can use each other's energy as one cohesive unit rather than one individual person at a time. So it's really cool watching all of this happen because it's world building. And we meet Thor. We meet Thor's, you know, flying magical talking goats that he can kill each night and eat, and then they can come back the next day so long as he doesn't break their bones. Thor's hammer is missing, so that's a big focal point in the next book, The Hammer of Thor. But Loki references this as well. And then at the very end of the epilogue, after Annabeth and, you know, Magnus share some stories over some falafel potentially. Amir Fadlan is introduced to this as well. He runs his family's falafel stand. He and Samira are destined to be with each other. Loki happens to have Randolph's wife and children within flames, and Loki is the god of mischief. He plays all sides that benefit him. So he's trying to convince Magnus to start Ragnarok, basically, but it doesn't happen by giving Surt back Summerbrander. So it's a matter of explaining to Randolph, listen, you failed me. Like, Magnus was supposed to do this, but that was only one step in Ragnarok. There's other ways of doing it. And he's holding a silver charm of Thor's hammer leading into the second book. And it's interesting because Alex Fierro is one of the main characters of this trilogy. They're not in here. Alex, gender-neutral they pronoun, is not in here. So it's very interesting watching all the fan art and fandom stuff talking about Alex and Magnus, Alex and Magnus this, Alex and Magnus that, and Alex is not in this. So it's interesting. I will give it that. This is a fast read. It's always fun-filled adventure stuff within Rick Riordan books. But why this series is very near and dear to my heart. I originally saw this cover art. I was like, okay, cool. You know, I like the color scheme, blah, blah, blah. Then I saw on Instagram one day the Italian version of this book has an actual actor dressed as the Kurt Cobain Magnus Chase character himself, holding Summerbrander with the runes in the hilt, with, you know, all of the stuff of Boston behind him. And I was like, holy shit, that is awesome. Let me compare the two, okay? American version, Italian version. I was like, this Italian version supersedes the American version, without a doubt. And I was like, how in the hell am I getting the Italian version of this book? So I became friends with this girl, Veronica. She lives in Italy, via Instagram, and she really wanted a copy of the American version because she really liked our cover art. And I was like, hey, I really like your cover art. Do you want to barter? We'll do a book for a book. So for 3 Christmases, Veronica and I sent each other boxes of gifts, but then little gifts, and a book for 3 Christmases for 2015, 16, and 17, to make sure that we had she had the English version and I had the Italian version. I can't speak Italian. I don't read Italian. I just love the fact that that was a thing that we did for 3 Christmases, that we gave each other a book and little trinkets. But it was so cool and it was so much fun, and I absolutely loved it because this is a movie poster. This is a pure movie poster, right? And it wraps around too, actually. You see how it wraps? That's so awesome. It's so awesome. I love little things like that. So that's why this is near and dear to my heart, because of that, fun little memory that I have from years ago of bartering across the Atlantic Ocean for books with a fellow book lover and reader. So I got a cool friend out of it as well. I'm very grateful for creating this series within the Camp Half-Blood saga, the Percyverse, as you will. And so we're going to start the second book. I don't know when we're going to finish it. I got a lot of work coming up, but we're going to get to this and we're going to do this. May the God of Summer bless you this summer with warmth, happiness, and vitality. Mucho mahalo.